we once did a case, okay, in terms of but it was a defilement case. And then this client was heavy on those things. Yeah. He was convicted, found guilty. And then...
So this was your client, or
My
you
client.
were defending the accused of defiling?
Yeah. So, and then he walked.
After he was found guilty.
Yeah, but then he walked. I don't know what happened to him, I guess, because there was a mandatory punishment for defilement, and it's only rape, basically. So he walked, went home. Yeah, like hurting, you know.
So it was a win for you that left you.
No, not even a win. I don't know what that was, because.
So you lost the case because he was found guilty.
Yeah, he was found guilty.
But he still managed to walk.
But he walked. Something happened to the magistrate. And he walked.
Welcome to Moving Humanity Forward podcast. My name is Cathy Malejane, and I am very excited about the guest we have today. But let me tell you this as we get to welcome him, that I like to tell people that I'm the village girl from Botswana. I also like to tell them that I'm #CuriousCath, because I have so very many questions. Now, my guest has allowed me, he's given me the liberty to knock myself out and ask as many of these questions as I like. I want to also throw it out there that I've had the honor and the privilege of having somebody with exactly the same name as him in this exact studio, in that exact same chair. I'm talking about none other than this gentleman who, well, he calls himself the Kasi King. He is also quite a celebrated lawyer. He recently, in fact, Sebego Attorneys recently celebrated their 25th anniversary in existence. And at this point, I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. He goes by the name Tebogo Sebego. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Moving Humanity Forward podcast.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much.
As am I. A re simoleyana ka gore ke rata go bolela batho gore ke letebele le ntshonyana ke ngwanyana ko Ramotswa, and lwena you do something similar, right? Kasi King, Simanwa, Old Naledi, like take me through why this Naledi boy decided lawyering was the way to go, and I don't mean the Setswana lawyering.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Old Naledi proper, and the originals, as I call it. So
when I did the fakes.
Yeah, when I did the fakes. we built a city. So when I was growing up, we didn't really have a lot of exposure, particularly in terms of career options. We were told more about, if you're a smart student, it was about medicine, it was about law, and then, all the other courses thereafter. So I pretty much knew about doctor, but I didn't want to be a doctor. I knew about being a lawyer, and I was excited about being a lawyer because at the point there were a number of famous lawyers who were always, in the news representing people, and then I felt that it's something that I could do. So I have never been confused about what I want to do in my life. I knew I was going to go to a law school, and since I was at primary school, I knew I was going to go to a law school, and I knew I was going to have a law firm. And I really pretty much planned my life based on those dreams. So dreams are possible. You can achieve your dreams if you really set your mind into it. But Old Naledi, a very not poor neighborhood, because I don't think Old Naledi is poor. I think it's more about underprivileged, but not poor, because we had a meal every day. We didn't have the luxuries, but we had very strict parents, Kolapeng. At the time, also, Old Naledi was a small community that was more like a village. So every parent was like your parent.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of stories that happened there that was molding our youth and turning us into good adults. But the good thing about me, fortunately, I've always been lucky to have the books as part of my program. I played football, but I was also very good with my books. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I am here, I think.
I love that, and I mean, we'll get to. I do want to talk more about your career in law, but these social media streets have told us that your passions include cars and football, as you've just said. So take me a little bit through these loves of yours.
My dad always reminds me of when I was young, he had to buy a car, well, a scrap. Because of me, there was a neighbor who had a car, so I was always at his house waiting for the next time when he's leaving to hop into his car. So my dad bought a car.
Because he wanted you to come home.
Yeah, so that I can stay home. And I was like, me and Fuel were like together in that car all the time. So I grew a lot of love for cars when I was young. But I was fascinated with old cars, frankly. The designs, the soul behind the car, and every car has a soul.
Yeah.
And you have to look beyond the age to see the soul behind the creation of that vehicle. So I'm really, really passionate about cars. I think they speak to me. They give me that relaxation which I need when I need it. And yeah, but football was always a sport of choice. I mean, back then we didn't really have a lot of choices.
Yeah,
We couldn't
there were
pick
no
tennis
many
like
options.
Were and my daughter. We just, football was like, it's poor man's sport. And but it's also a sport that promotes camaraderie and teamwork, and just you get to know a lot of people when you play football. It's a sport which belongs to the people, and if you want to be part of the people, you have to play that game. So it was one of those games that really kept me away from trouble when I was growing up. I played for under whatever YGU, all the development teams for Gaborone United, until I played at an elite league when I was at university. So it's one thing that really kept me sane and kept me out of trouble.
Well, it seems to have gotten you into trouble because you have tried time and again, or rather, at some point you did succeed, but you have also tried again to be at the very top of the football in terms of the BFA presidency. I want to know your thoughts on the state of it right now in terms of football in Botswana.
Well, football is a very complex sport.
But why is that the case? Why are there so many politics around it? Like, why?
Yeah, it's very complex. I mean, it's every part of the country has a football ground. Every part of the country. I think beyond politics, there's football.
Yes.
And football is, I always say, there are too many men in football. And then you can, I don't want to use the word testosterone, but there's a lot of it in the game.
Okay.
So that means that there's always going to be disagreements, and sometimes they take it beyond where they should be, not so structured. But I think by and large, that's the energy in football. That's why football is loved. People are passionate about it. Even supporters for one team and another. Look at Rollers playing GU. There's always going to be that difference of opinion. Sometimes even people differ so badly that they fight. So that's the nature of the game. And even from an administration point of view, we have different philosophies. Some, like myself, believe that we are servants of the people, and therefore the the people are our bosses, and that other administrators in the regions are our bosses, as opposed to maybe others feel that once you are elected, you can tell them what to do. So it's a different philosophy.
Yeah.
So I think that's why there's always been two schools of thought on the administration of football, and they fight. But at the end of the day, one thing that I always want is that when the elections are done, people must just get together, because it's a game that we both love, and then we move ahead. The state of football right now, we just came from AFCON. We qualified for AFCON. I think it actually says a lot about where we are. We've moved. We are part of the elite in Africa. We could do better. There's still opportunity for us to really go into development. I wish school sport could come back. But by and large, we have done quite well. And I believe that with the new president, or the current president, he's been educated under my wing. I believe he knows what football requires in order to go further.
Okay, I'll be watching the space to see in terms of, because I always wonder, was it 10 or 15 years ago when we had a certain coach by the name of Vaseline, that there was a lot of grassroots development, and that was a very exciting move for me. So now it almost, in my mind, looks like it's regressed, because it doesn't look like we're focusing that much on the grassroots development. And like you're saying, especially now with school sports not being there, I don't know if I share your optimism.
Well, we just qualified for AFCON. You don't just qualify for AFCON.
But we did in 2012.
Yeah,
right? So that was that time when the grassroots development,
time,
exactly,
and then there was a build-up that led into the qualification for last year's competition.
Yeah.
So it's a will. And sometimes it goes down, and it will come back up. When you are busy building, quite often the national team will suffer, because that's where your focus will be directed towards development.
Yeah.
But the idea is to just try to keep the conveyor belt running at all times. I think that is the magic trick that people need to get.
Yeah.
But it has to start with building. And building means that you take a bit of focus away from the elite and focus more on the grassroots. I hope this is what we are doing at the moment. Unfortunately, I can't talk more on football, because, as you know, I'm in the FIFA appeals committee. So, stay away from politics.
Let's put a full stop there. Let's move now to the Kasi boy getting into the courtroom. Take me through, say, your first case. I always wondered, even as somebody who does public speaking, how nerve-wracking it must be to have a case and know that potentially, depending on the case, someone's life is literally on the line, depending on the words that you use, the way you carry convey the message.
Stakes are always high, especially if you are born a winner. And you know that somebody's life is reliant on how you discharge your role as their lawyer. My first case was a very funny one. I think I was not funny in that manner, but it was one of those that was emotionally charged, and from my perspective, because I was representing a very indigent person who was accused of infanticide, in killing a child. And then she was from a very underprivileged background, somewhere in the Gang area.
Yeah.
So by the time when I got into the case, she had been in prison for 3 years. And I was given this matter as a pro duo. Pro duo is where they give it to a lawyer to assist for pretty much for free. So that case really got me to see the inside of what law is about, because I then felt that this was a proper candidate for bail. The case had delayed, dragged on for too long. It had not even started, but she's been in prison for 3 years. So, and also she wasn't really keen on leaving prison, because she just didn't know what this fuss was about. She's just had an accident. She was, with a child on her back, and then she tripped and fell at a bar. The child was a few months old, probably about 2-3 months old. Yeah, and then people tried to stop her, but she continued dancing and she fell again, and the child died as a result. So it was not such a case of murder, if I may call it that way, or intentional killing of a child. It was accidental, influenced by alcohol. So we got a bail. After getting a bail, the judge asked
So
me
she
to,
had been in jail for 3 years.
for 3 years.
The case hadn't started.
The
Why
case-
had the case not started for 3 years?
Because the state was still collating information. The pathologist was not around. The pathologist who did the postmortem for the child autopsy had left for. He had left for overseas, back to the country, so they couldn't secure him to come and continue with the case. So that's why the case stalled and it wasn't moving. So subsequent to that, we after getting a bail, and the judge was saying, please explain to your client what this means.
Yeah,
And
because she's
then
gotten
she
bail.
was saying, no, na ke batla go a hope I hetseng hela ke batla go tsamaya ke hedisa.
Did she speak Setswana? How were you communicating with her?
Well, she had been in prison for 3 years, so as a result, a bit of her Setswana had improved. Her Setswana had improved, so she could speak a bit of Setswana. Although we used an interpreter at the time as a Sarah interpreter. Yeah, so ultimately, she was acquitted and discharged because obviously it was a case of an accident. Yeah, so it was a very emotional case for me because I could see that the whole reason why that person was there and going through that was mainly because of the underprivileged background. I mean, I even asked her, have you had your relatives checking you when you're in prison? She said, no, I've never had anybody checking me because as in Lobatse was so far she couldn't even they couldn't even come to check on her. So it was a very painful case, but it opened my eyes to the realities of our justice system.
Yeah, no ne re bua kgantele ke gore ke re ne ke ra tears go gantsi around that time.
So that was gone.
So you get to realize that, especially in certain areas, and it's like ga re dumele gore dilo tse di a iragala mo Botswana, but you do have instances where people, especially in the more rural areas of Botswana, ko re bile mo go bone, ka nke mafatshe lo batse, it's this glamorous place. But I think I want to stick a little bit to the justice system and just get a bit of an understanding. Is that a common thing for a case to take 3 years for it to start? And if that's the case, why? Is there no truth to the fact that justice delayed is justice denied?
Absolutely, but it also boils down to resources, because if you look at the amount of work that the police have to cover, and the prosecutors who are state councils have to deal with. Rebbe Ford was talking about it the other day. The number of lawyers and the number of cases they have, the ratio is not fair. I mean, you find one lawyer dealing with 500 cases, and at a time. So it's not easy. I think we need to resource our justice system more in order to get the best for our people. It's very sad because when you get there, you find that just to collate all the information and to get everybody together, it's so hard. And also our courts were overwhelmed at the time. For you to get a date, you will get a date 2 years in. If you start a case now, you'll get it 2 years in. And if you get it postponed for one reason or another, it's going to be another year.
Yeah.
It still happens even now.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of work still needs to be... People don't really think a lot about the justice system.
Yeah.
They actually think it's just, hey, by the way, but it's a core part of government. Judiciary, legislature, and executive. People don't, when they look at the complaints that we always talk about when you talk about administration of justice, they forget that it's an arm of government. It's one of the puso. So how by the way, and then be le sa re tsosiwe sentle, then ba bangwe batho ba tshwanetse gore ba bone thuso ba go suffer, and we have cases like this. There still are cases like that. Tse dingwe tse e leng gore even the representative is not even there, ha gona representation, and then people will go to jail when they were not even supposed to go to jail.
E le kganya la gore ga bana di resources,
Yes,
ga bana
yes. And
kitso.
so court is very intimidating. You know, when you are having a murder case, for example,
Yeah.
the judge dresses in a certain way. They dress ba apara gown e khibidu, e na le mbuhi, e na le bontsho, and it's intimidating. And you see all these lawyers also dressed up in gowns and stuff, and it's your first time in court. Even when you know your truth, can't allow hello. So having lived Old Naledi, my first court experience was when I was in Mahalape Kilo lebella court or you know, that's when I started getting exposure. But imagine for somebody who has never gone to court and they are brought to court to come and answer to a matter, it becomes a problem. Yeah.
I always try and look at what we used to do before and what is currently happening, and Renale, our customary court system. I wonder, and we'll then also have to talk about constitutional court because that's something that's been doing the rounds.
Yeah.
But I wonder, that was our court system.
Yeah.
Right? And we do still have that system in place. Would there not be a best case scenario where we take a lot of cases and let them be decided there? What's your take on that?
I think we still do have a lot of our cases decided at customary courts. Because people don't share statistics that much. When I was the chairman of Law Society around 2008, I got to have the insights of the volume of work that is done by customary courts. And I think people need to start taking them seriously. Domestic issues, minor infringements, di kganyana tse leng gore di ama botsogo ba tsatsi le tsatsi jwa batho go dikgaolong kana go magaeng jalo ke di hella go customary court. And the number of cases that always go to magistrate courts and the common law courts, I don't think they're as much as the ones that the customary courts are doing. The system at customary court is very diverse. Ghana, it goes to headmen of arbitration, babadilan de kanyana tsa tse di go tlase gongwe ngwana rogile motsadi wa gagwe kana motho a dirile sengwe hela se sanang sentle ko lapeng ba le ka go kgaoganya gone go go tsena mo go tse di tlhaetseng nyana tsa bo go utswelana leruo ba dira le tsone ko. And we need to really empower that aspect of our justice system. It's part of our justice system. They go parallel.
Okay.
But as you know, how you but they deal with a lot for this country, and people need to really appreciate the customary court. I've had batho ba tsile go gonna ba tlo go ba thuso go gonna ke be ke ba ra ke kante ke o se go le khoteng la Setswana o go bona thuso hela e faster je long gore the environment is also not intimidating ba go letella gore o bua ka Setswana o phutholege o ntsha maikutlo a gago. When you go to court, we are now going to have this formal setup, and it's going to be intimidating to you. You may actually miss out a lot of things. It becomes also expensive. So it's one of the things that I think as we have this conversation, we need to emphasize the need for people to respect customary courts. They deal with a lot of cases, a lot. Kore hela bontsi ba tsone ke tse leng gore batho gantsi re tsela gore ke tse di maena, but ke tsone tse leng gore ga di sa sotiwe di a gola e be go nna le bothata mo setšhabeng.
Coming now to just the setup, you've mentioned we have the setup of even the robes and the wigs, and I've always asked myself, okay, I get where these come from. Why are we still implementing them to this day?
Well, every profession has its own culture and traditions, and those traditions are meant to keep discipline. They're meant to keep the certain aura. They're meant to keep our systems, give it the respect e leng gore a tlhokega. Gape we are still using the laws that we did not create. You know, that's why ke re go na le customary court ko e leng gore motho go na le ka ka aparang ka teng ka gore mo ke yone e go, but go na le molao o e leng gore ke wa sejwalejwale o re sa le ro tsa go ma mosadinyana le go mahatsheng jaanong gore o kgone go diragatsa molao o tshwanetse gore o tlotle ka ga o agilweng ka teng. Up until maybe we have the bulk of the laws being influenced by our own system, maybe we can start changing it. But you know, robing, it's not just robing. It's only when we go to court we bow to the judge, and because we believe the judge is executing the job of God. You know, whatever the judge is doing, thomo ya modimo gore mongwe wa rona o tlhopegileng o tshwanetse gore mo boemong ba modimo e nne ene o kgonang go re tseela ditshwetso a re a tlholele matshwenyego a re tabere tsa lone kana dikgotlang tse tabere tsa le tsone. So ka moso go tla be go no, why do we have to bow? There's a reason. It's a tradition, and I still feel yes, mo ga di weekend like tswa ka like sa dumalang le gone thata but hela me in terms of robing. How tsena go university, how graduate o nela robe ya gago go gateng bangwe ba ka nna ba re nya mo Botswana ga so re how etsa go university o tle hela o ska wa nela gaone, you know, but so sa teng ke se supo sa gore o kgonne sengwe se se rileng and ga se so se sa mo go rona ke so se sa dimile mo go ba. And I don't see anything wrong le go adima mo dingwaong tse dingwe, especially ha re diragatsa so se le gore sa adimile mo go bona. So now I still don't have a problem with putting on a gown. I feel about a gown and a bib reflect it shows the commitment.
Okay, so I get the gown, but I've never understood, to be honest, the wig and the bib, because a bib is for a child. What are we saying about it in your profession?
I'm not very sure about the history of the bib, but I think it does give there must be a history behind it though. It's just that I've never really gotten to the 1500s to really go about and find out why. The wig was it's something that was meant to represent wisdom and status. Yeah, so it was meant for that. So I think for our situation, frankly, it is one of those that we can shed without necessarily compromising the integrity of the justice system.
I mean, I feel so good because I got him to concede on this, but don't you go anywhere. This is Moving Humanity Forward podcast, and this conversation continues in just a bit. Remember, if you want to find us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, as well as on TikTok, just type Moving Humanity Forward podcast, and then on Facebook, type MHF Podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Moving Humanity Forward podcast. You're still hanging out with the village chick with plenty chic. My name is Cathy Malejane, and I have the lawyer, Tebogo Sebego, and we need to, keep differentiating that because his wife goes by the same name. Can I just ask, when you started dating your wife, did you ever stop and think, wait, if I marry this woman, we're going to have the same name, literally Tebogo Sebego and Tebogo Sebego? Did that ever cross your mind? Like...
Yeah, she was my high school crush, so
okay.
But
so you knew her from high school?
Yeah.
So you didn't approach her in high school?
No, I didn't have the guts.
Okay.
Even at varsity, I once tried to make a move, but I failed. So
Does she remember? I think she doesn't
no,
remember.
she doesn't remember, and I still take offense on that because
So
I
that
mean,
means your attempt was it didn't even register. Okay.
yeah. So no, but that's why we settled for to have a
Hyphenate.
it's part of our her name.
Yeah.
So she's tearless, so that we don't have two tearses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she wasn't very hard to convince in that regard.
In the sense of the hyphenation.
Because if we were both Tebogo Sebego, I think her brand has always been stronger than mine. So I was always going to be overpowered, so to speak. Although I like that.
Okay, so she's told us a bit of the story of how you then got the guts this time around.
Yeah.
What was different this time around from high school, from varsity?
Well, I I was older. I was I had achieved a bit in my life, so I was more about knowing what I want and a bit of a go-getter. So I took advantage of a situation that happened to ask for a date. That situation was when she was in trouble because an event was not going to happen if I don't intervene.
Yeah.
So yeah, I undertook my own intervene, but we have to do a date, and she agreed. So that's how it started.
Okay, and then you put on your best behavior for this date?
Yep, I did. Yeah, I did. Although she was just reciting a whole riot act to me. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like that. And, I want to have my own time. Hey, what? A few years later, she's the one who says, "No, you have to be here." Hey, the whole thing flipped. I keep reminding her, but when we started, you said,
you want your time, you
want to have your own time, you want to have your space. And now I can't even have my space because you don't want to let me go. So yeah, interesting.
I actually just want you to speak to the men. We've just come out of Valentine, and I want you to speak to the men to say, what are some of the advices, if you can, give to, especially when you think somebody's, I want to believe you thought she was like way out of your league, right?
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody else who feels that way, especially given that, well, now you are here and
I think generally people, I could be saying women, are looking for authentic. They want somebody who is real, who's authentic. I think once they see the you that is real, and you are not boastful, you are more about who you are, and quite often you pass jokes about yourself. It becomes a bit more attractive. And the other thing also, nna ke dumela thata gore mokgabo wa monna ke mosadi. In short, if you are a man, your role is to promote your woman as best as you can, get her to achieve as much as possible. If there's the best car at home, let it be the one that she's driving. You have to really be the workaholic and allow her to shine, to be the softer part. So I think for me that's something that works for us, because recently I actually had a mind of buying myself a car, because I haven't bought myself a car in a while, except for vintages. But I can't do it until I've bought her. Hers has to always be the best in the house. So I think that's the formula to retain, and also listening to your wife. You always have to be the bigger person. She does wrong and you apologize, and you get
that's
used
a
to
thing.
it.
That's actually a thing. She does wrong and you apologize.
And then you get used to it. She does wrong and you apologize.
Wow. No, that's a thing.
Yeah, but it's a skill. You'll get your apology after. I don't know how, but that's how it is. And it's either you swim or sink. So I think for me it's one formula that I I subscribe to. Whenever there's tension, I'm the one who's gonna reach out, even if I think I wasn't wrong, she was wrong. But I'll reach out and try to apologize for whatever situation that we are in. Yeah, but ultimately, the biggest apology will be coming from her when the dust has settled. So I think it's just a formula that should work for any couple.
Okay, we love stories here on MHF, so thank you. I think you have such a beautiful one, and I promise this is going to be my last personal question, but you do the blended family setup, and I want to know how you do that one, because that is challenging.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy because we have to earn the trust. Yeah, the other children. You have to earn that trust. When we started, I couldn't rebuke them. I would just let her know that ngwana ga sentle, so that she can prevail and kgalemela ngwana, I guess. And if there's a situation that needs the other parent, I would ensure that the father steps in to try and do the fatherly role, and I step back. So, but with time, then they start to trust you. The children pick energy. If the energy is right, they know the energy is right. If somebody has their best interest, they know it. So ultimately, you then become this shouting dad like I am. I mean, I can shout at anyone, and they know I mean it from a good space. But the intensity at which I shout and the intensity at which I compliment is actually the same. So if you do right, you're always going to get compliments. So we've been able to find that formula where the kids that we blended into the family have now begun to trust, and they know they're all siblings. But I can tell you it's not easy. It's so easy because you are dealing with other parties that are outside the home but having influence in what happens in the home. Yeah, but we have been able to strike a balance, and we've been able to win the trust from both children, and now they are just you won't even see the difference.
How important has it been, or is it to you, to be a present dad?
Well, in my youth days, and I wasn't really such a present dad. I mean, I used to stay with the kids because I could provide a better home, better facilities, and so on. But I wasn't really present. I think once I met her, she taught me the art of being present. And I realized that how important it is to be there for children. Children is to, they get motivated to do school, to do whatever activity, even sports. If they see you, they feel safer. And also, you're able to attend to whatever needs that they may have. Sometimes the child would lose or play badly, but if you are there to say, well done, you've done what I wanted you to do for today, forget about the lose, but you've achieved more than I wanted from you. So the child gets happier. But imagine if you are not there, they win, you are not there, they lose, you are not there. So it's like they are on their own. So I've learned the art of being present. And with the kids right now, we are present for all of them.
Now, how do you do that, given what you just said, to say there's such a crazy workload for a lawyer, about 500 cases to a lawyer, and juggle that in with your present dad? What's the magic behind that?
Look, you have to prioritize some things. You cannot compromise on family. Yeah, work will always be there, and work should not define who you are. You should always remember as a person that your kids need you more than your work. I wouldn't mind passing on a case because I have to attend to my kids, my daughter's event. Because for me that is more important. The value there is more than whatever money I could make from a case. So you need to, as a lawyer, maybe as a senior lawyer now, I'm able to get my clients to appreciate that I'm a dad first, and I'm a lawyer second.
Yeah.
You know, beyond my law career, I'm still going to be a dad.
Yeah.
So I have to always, I always have to remind my client, and they understand. Fortunately, even for their part, they are parents in their own right, and they understand the needs for the need for attending to family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've learned to prioritize my family, and I think it's a priority for me. Work is important because that's where we make our livelihood, but our livelihood doesn't define the family. The family is defined by presence and being attentive.
I love that. But coming back to the being a lawyer, it's 25 years now that you've been a lawyer. And
No, running a law firm.
sorry, owning a law firm. How long have you been a lawyer?
I've been a lawyer for, I'll be 30 in the next year. No, next 2 years. Yeah.
28
So,
years.
28, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the 28 years, I'd just like to give you just an opportunity to share some of the cases that you'll never forget. I think there was one you were sharing with us that I definitely want you to just go ahead and recall.
Okay. I had a case in Tebogo. I like talking about it. For those who don't think that there's witchcraft, here's the case that actually made me believe that there's witchcraft. We're doing a stock theft case. My mother used to tell me, why? I used to, no, na dumela gore go aloiwa. And for
so
me,
the has a significance.
Yeah, for Botswana, the masaka a tisiwa a bakangwa. So my mother na dumela mo kganya teng. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And, she was telling me even from her early days as a child, she knows that for a fact.
Yeah.
She knew that for a fact. So I then did this case, and I used to do the like it's an So I was doing a case in Tebogo. It arose from gang as well. So a case here, and I like cross-examine the owner of the cattle.
So wait, you are defense for the person who's accused of.
Yes, I was defending the person who was accused of.
Had they stolen them?
I'm not the judge. My role is not the judge.
Had they Don't you sit down with your client first and tell them, I need you to be honest with me? Like I see this on TV, that the lawyer says, you have to be honest with me. I'll defend you, but be honest with me.
I think there's a difference between being found in possession of stolen
cattle versus stealing them.
Versus stealing them. So,
look at you.
So I'm not the judge.
Look at you. Okay.
So yeah.
So he was found in possession of the stolen cattle.
Yeah, and then he had his explanation, obviously.
Yeah.
So as I was questioning the owner of the cattle, because by this about who were not prepared to come, never intimidate to like environmental court, so we were not prepared to come. The owner of the cattle, who was not really so present, Komalaking, was mixing up the mebala di khomo di palo tsa tsone and the dates and stuff. So, and we were literally cruising, if I may call that.
You were winning.
Yeah, we were winning
on technicalities.
Yes. So just before I concluded my cross-examination, I started bleeding. Pampila ke me now ke bona my paper kwa lante go na le madi a ntsa rota, and I've never had a nosebleed. It was my first time, and I've never had it
ever since then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then I said, what's going on here? Then I said to the Judge Nele, Magistrate Nele, the current Judge Matak, and said, Your Worship, I'm bleeding. Can we take an adjournment, because I need to just see what this is about. So we took an adjournment. 15 minutes later, my bleeding was worse. We came back to court and we postponed the case. And as we were walking out of court, and I'm worried, my client was saying, And I'm like, hey, who magic? So nake pone, and actually I'm the weak point.
Yeah, you're
Who
the
are my
weakest
client?
link.
I'm the weak link. And then,
so wait, don't you at this point say to him, you know, fortify me as well? Kana at this point you don't believe
no, I just felt home because Sabong was hot, and that was why.
So these things
So
if you don't believe it can't work.
Yeah. So for the next 3 weeks, so that night around 8 o'clock in the evening, I decided, I'm going to die in Sabong. I decided to drive back to Gaps.
Yeah.
I had a towel.
Your nose bleeding the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. Momentarily. So I arrived in Gaps around 3 o'clock. My mother was waiting for me where I used to stay. So my mother said to me, okay, I refused bluntly. And then the private doctors. For the next 2-3 weeks, nothing could help. So ultimately, my mother said, "It's okay. As a popular doctor,
is he still alive? I'm so interested.
So my mother then took the towel.
What were you thinking is wrong with you at this point? And are you not getting weak? You're losing all this blood.
Yeah, I'm getting weak. I'm not even going to work because my nosebleed was really bad. So I then gave my mother the towel. She was the intermediary between me and the doctor. So that evening, I came for Hotawara at Old Naledi. So. And then in the morning, when I woke up, there was just a few drops of blood. Usually, I'll have my pillow covered in blood. And I got
from the doctor.
So in the morning, I wake up. I don't know what this is, but it's working. So and that was how my nosebleed stopped.
Through a concoction of herbs.
Herbs that were brought by my mother from Remusa. And then I stopped doing stock theft. That year I stopped, 2002.
So now you know
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Because I saw that thing happening to me. I mean, I went to all the doctors and I couldn't get help until I got what he helps. I still don't want to be using them that much at all, but I don't have any doubt in my mind they work. Helps do work. Yeah.
So as a result, you listened to never ever taking a stock theft case.
Yeah. My mother was very, very clear on that. Don't ever do stock theft.
Yeah.
Go So that's one of the cases that it never leaves my mind.
So you've never had an instance where a case was so weird that you're like, I've seen this before. This doesn't make any sense. Where you're like, really just saying me.
We once did a case okay, in terms of but it was a defilement case. And then this client was heavy on those things. Yeah. He was convicted, found guilty. And then...
So this was your client, or you
client.
were defending the accused of defiling?
Yeah. So... And then he walked.
After he was found guilty.
Yeah, but then he walked. I don't know what happened to him, I guess, because there was a mandatory punishment for defilement. Rape, basically. So he walked, went home. Like hurting. So
it was a win for you that left you.
No, not even a win. I don't know what that was, because
Oh, so you lost the case because he was found guilty?
Yeah, he was found guilty.
But he still managed to walk.
But he
free.
walked. Something happened to the magistrate. And he walked.
So just confess. Have you never ever now said, you know what, I need some fortification for myself?
I've always believed when you are a believer,
they won't work on you.
Yeah. I think I've always believed that, and I'm gonna keep that belief. Gape ke na le go dumela gore ka ke practice law ka teng ke loile ke batho ba le bantsi mo di khobokane ila I kgone go ya reka because
you wouldn't know where to begin.
Yeah, so yeah.
Fair enough. Let's talk a little bit more about something that's really doing the rounds and causing quite a huge uproar as far as our media recently, and that is the Constitutional Court. I think maybe let me just start off by getting you to weigh in on our Constitution. I still remember way back, I think this was just early 2010s, where we had Kosi Kafela talking about our Constitution. I think that's when I first saw there's something not necessarily right with our Constitution. You've just mentioned these are laws not necessarily made for us in Botswana. So the need to change the Constitution, I think I'd like you to weigh in on whether that is actually a thing. Do you think we need it? And then let's talk the Constitutional Court.
Well, the Constitution, like lawyers always call it, is called the Grundnorm.
What?
Grundnorm.
Grundnorm.
Correct. It's Latin.
Okay.
Ke one molao mo tona mo melao ye mengwe. Correct. Ke one mmago melao. Bana ba botlhe ba tswa mo go one. So kore ha Constitution e le ga jana melao yotlhe a ke wa penal code wa borukutli a ke wa transport wa dikoloi a ke wa bana kana ke wa o tswa ha ke mmago melao. Ga o diriwa ka bo in the 60s, 1965 o no diriwa ka diemo tsene di le teng re tsa boipuso. And Constitution by nature is a living document. Ga se molao e leng gore o cast in stone. It has to be talking to the realities of the time.
Yeah.
So ga go hakamatse gore mo gompiekong ga re teng after 58 years or 59 years this year of independence, we have to say bagaetso a me molao o lo santsontso re berekela molao motheo o lo santso re berekela gongwe re santso re o baakanye so that o kgone go bua ka dikeletso tsa rona at this point, because Constitution is the one that actually governs all of us. It's where the laws or their origins. That's why this most superior law at the end. So there is no doubt that the Constitution has to be reviewed, and it has to speak to where we are. It has to live with the times. So yo tota ke khanyelo ngor khana ke tsela ra gona po
ga ona ka iganetsa
go sontso re bogologolo no go ntse go na le bo di tribes tse 80 major tribes jalo kana go yo ha Constitution hira gongwe go ne go make sense, but mo gompiekong ga go tle go re berekela di khandi dintse yala tse leng gore gongwe yone the right to education gore re bue gore tuto a ke tshwanelo e le gore motho ka go e sekisetsa gore mente puso a gore ga la nne la tshwanelo a me a go rutiwa ele a right e fola mo classing e rileng ya molao motheo. So dio tse di tse leng gore di bua ka di emo tsa rona gompieko di sontse gore di ya go lebelelwa e be di tsengwa ha di sontse go nna teng. I think Constitution has to be reviewed, no doubt.
Okay, so that is a foundational one. We agree. Yes. I think everybody can agree to say what was in place or affecting us issues 59 years ago, as we turn 60, cannot be serving us right now. So let's now move to the issue of the Constitutional Court.
Yes.
I'd like a description and understand. Let's start with that foundation. What is the Constitutional Court? What is that?
Now, a Constitutional Court, now that we've agreed o e leng gore o itebagantse le go dira go melao yotlhe e tswa mo go one. Constitutional Court is the one that actually has to check at any given time gore go na le sengwe mo melaong se se hapanang le molao mo tona. That is the main purpose. So if somebody feels that a certain act or a certain policy does not protect their rights as enshrined in the Constitution, the Constitutional Court is meant to then make a decision and determination on that. If somebody feels for a certain law or the Parliament does not speak or align with the spirit of the Constitution, that is the court that will be dealing with that. And I think in my analysis, I've been following all the media conversation, even social media. I've been waiting to see gore a gona le mongwe yo re Constitutional Court ga ya tshwana go nna teng. Ga ke se ke kopane le ope o re yalo. So if we are to discuss this issue, the basic fact that we all agree to, unless I'm wrong, but I believe I'm very right on that, nobody is saying there should not be a Constitutional Court. And if there's anybody who says that, I think that person will not be appreciating what the law and justice system is about. We need to have a Constitutional Court. The only difference of opinion which I'm picking is when people are now saying, at what stage should we have it? Should we review the entire Constitution and as we amend and put new principles into the Constitution or institutions, we also accommodate the Constitutional Court? Or should we pack it for now and at a later stage? Everybody agrees it has to be there, but it's always about the how. Some people are saying, no, it should not be the priority. Yes, like the Law Society chairman was saying, he was qualifying his statement to say it's desirable to have a constitutional court, meaning that it is necessary. In 2008, when I was the chairperson of the Law Society, I was advocating for us to have a Constitutional Court back then because it was necessary for us to have it. Now, the problem that we are having now, ke leka go define gore go harologana ha kae go harologana mo gore nya e mampele re ka melemo pele kana.
I was just about to say that you've just talked about how the judiciary is not necessarily well resourced, right? And as a nation, we literally declared a state of emergency a few months ago, where we have no medicines in our public health system. This is it's a state of emergency. Like you're actually saying we need even the military to intervene in this point because
yes,
I do not believe that has been solved. And we do still hear reports of people saying, and for a long time before then, you'd get there and you just, the basics, paracetamol was what you'd be given. Now it's not there. Now it's not even there. So that is still an issue and it's still a crisis. So as you said, the timing, the question of, is this the right time for us to be bringing in yet another expense on a already strained? If you're waiting cases 3 years for a case in 1999, I shudder to think how long you're waiting now for a case to get heard. And yet we want to then increase the costs and add on with the Constitutional Court. Maybe if you can help me make that make sense.
So this is now where we are having a point of departure between people. From the Law Society perspective, they were even saying, look, our courts are dilapidated. We need to have better infrastructure. That's what we should maybe focus on, etc. And those are solid arguments.
But there's a lawyer who's recently actually even posted it on social media. Or going to Lubatsa High Court, you hardly find a working toilet. Bonsa the ceiling, it's falling
so
apart.
Those are very solid arguments. But then, you see, the misunderstanding here It's about the allocation of budget. Now, from where I sit, kore ha re bua ka government, yaka vice president ana bua ka has the budget speech. He would allocate this to health. He will allocate this to infrastructure. He will allocate this to sports. He will all these facets of government has to be resourced. So I have a problem where you have reserved money for a certain plan. Say, for example, construction of a court. And then as we try to then construct this new court, you say, then if you have go healthy, and as a result, then worry. You know, I have a problem with that thinking, because what we should be focusing in is to try and say, please, diragatsang gore mentannele ka ha anonotsang gore manano a recent, because then kantile we confuse things, we confuse issues. Right now there was an infrastructure budget that was released gore madi a bolebelebe a go aga ditsela. So e go te madi a bolebelebe ke a go reka melemo. Yaanong ha ba melemo ba ka ske ba ne ba budgetile ba sa diragatse thomo ya bone sentle. Se re ka gore go ba le ba ditsela ba bitse ba tlhantetse go ditseleng o bore nya gompe go lona le busy le ra ditsela nna ka kwa ga rena paracetamol. I think how really you are confusing issues. So ke batla hela ke re the issue is whether or not there's budget. If the money allows for this one to be done, and then priority has been given to also education, allocated to Madiayone for both infrastructure and also for training and students. And Bamelemo Banetumelemo, Basports Banets Abone, Ilohor do di dirilwe e be gote lona ba constitution ka ba e tlhoka. No one is arguing gore ga re tlhoke ka gore ba melemo banetso melemo madi a melemo. Let's not now talk about constitutional court re emisiwa ka lebaka la gore ba banetso melemo ba pala gore ka melemo. I think this is where I'm actually having a problem, because then we are mixing issues. You see, okay, once the budget has been done, in my view, and the way I see it, once the budget has been done, melemo kana dikolo di allocated some idea zone. Okay. Lisian ba dikolo ke priority, ba melemo ke priority, no doubt. Lona ba infrastructure ba go tlhabolla di kolo tsa rona le di patela tsa rona le di khote tsa rona go dikago a madi a lona a teng la maintenance budget a teng a teng jaanong constitutional court a ra e tlhoka kana nya.
Okay, I'd like to pause you there. So we know that our justice system currently is overwhelmed, and we agree on that, right?
But remember what the Chief Justice was saying, and I hope what he was saying will translate into result. He was saying the complement of the High Court has been fully capacitated. Because the judge doesn't have to know hanno go tile ka tshwantse go na le judge di le 30 complement ya ko Court of Appeal more complement ya ko Magistrate Court more, or it's close to where we want it to be.
So that was an effort, because I do remember that in order to speed up the cases.
Yeah, and what has to happen is that now that we have a full complement at High Court, the judge, this must translate into expedient disposal of cases.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go tla be go na le bothata ba botsamaisi kana ba bodiragatsi ba di judge ka gore ha le neetso ya le tletselle mmogo go sa shorte le tlatse diphatlatso tse tsa teng go ntse o rang di case di simolla go tsamaya ka bohego e seng jalo botsamaisi bo a jesa kana tsone di judge di a jesa. So at this point ke dumela gore, and I want to give, because since it's not a matter case ke batla go ha administration of justice the benefit of the doubt gore jaanong di case di tla simola go tsamaya sentle, because ha di ka se tsa tsamaya ka boheo go tla be go raya gore yaanong bogogi ba teng kana tsone di judge ga di fite go ka be di le mo maemong a tsone.
Okay, so you're kind of, so that was where I was going to say, does it make sense for us to be adding something else that's going to need resources? Re se re baakanye seemo sa di case tsa rona currently.
It's okay. One of the things that I keep saying, and I nako e ne re simolola go nna le industrial court, motho na ka botsa a mme ra e tlhoka, because high court e ne e ra di case tsa industrial court tsa labor. But then we started having a specialized court. And guess what happened? As soon as we had that specialized court, e be simola e thusa dikgang tse di amanang le labor disputes. E be go ape go simola le molao ya teng e tlhabologa botoka, because judge o ko industrial court o lebile dikgang di tshekogela tsa trade and industry, o lebeletse tsone tse wa bona, ga a dire criminal, ga a dire epe gape o lebeletse so molao wa teng o bo simolao nna le kgolo e leng gore ke tsaela gore e re thusitse.
So you think this is the same?
Gompieno go introduce commercial court and criminal court, gore di judge tse e leng gore gongwe ba ne ba tswa kgakala ba ira criminal law e ne le di agente ba go kana le di prosecutor ba e ha ba nna di judge ba kgone go itebagana thata le se ba se itseng botoka. So gantele molao wa teng o nna botoka wa no ga gona consistent ka di judgment tsa teng, commercial court jalo jalo. So even constitutional law is not all the lawyers. I mean, now right now I'm not a constitutionalist. I'm not a constitutional law at school, but it's something that I have not practiced to greater length. But once I'm a judge, I'm going to be called upon to go and deal with a constitutional issue because I'm a judge. So me I know how similar o thopa di judge gore ba khatlego ya bone le skills are one tata go constitution, then you know how you are going to always have the best in terms of growth of our jurisprudence and also disposal of cases sa constitution. So this is why ga gona puaro na o ganetsang gore re harologana gore e dirweleng a e dirwe jaanong jaana kana e emelwe pele kana gore ke molemo pele be le gone e dirwang re harologana gone ho, and na ke explain ka ke tlhaloganyang ka teng, and I might be wrong because you can't always be right.
I love that. Okay, I'm running out of time and I'm not going to be able to get to all I wanted to. Let's talk about the next 25 years as we get close to the tail end of our conversation, right? So 25 years of you owning Sebego Attorneys, right? At this point, I want to leave you thinking legacy. What are some of the things that you are planning? What are some of the things that you wish how the Tebogo Sebego people can remember the Kasi King for ABC?
When I started Sebego Attorneys in 2001, my focus was to assist a whole range of clients from the indigent to the most affluent. And I think with time I've been able to achieve that. And I think thing at this point, I would love to see the next phase of the law firm in ale bana ba bangwe ba ba setseng ba ka kgona go e tsamaisa. I would love to see the brand growing beyond me, the person. The biggest problem that we have as professionals, especially us lawyers and also doctors, we are the service, and therefore we don't know how to detach and create an entity that can still provide the service that you're providing or to the standard that you're providing in your absence. So I think the biggest challenge that I do have now is now to transition to that. But I've started already. A few years ago, I did ISO certification, GoBops. And I remember Hakila GoBops, I would like to have a Bob certificate. I want to standardize my firm quality service jalo jalo. They were saying, "What, we've never done
Yeah.
a lawyer. What does that entail?" They
Yeah.
had to actually go and research how they could assist me. And for 2 years, we were working on, collating and working on my documentation in order for me to meet the standard. So, we've been on that standard for the past 7 years now. And it has kind of transformed the law firm into sort of an entity that is a bit more separated from me. So I would like to then move to the next stage where I really try to crystallize that entity and diffuse myself from it and just be part of it because I'm working there, as opposed to being part of it because I'm the service.
You're the brand.
Yeah, I'm the brand, yes. That's what I would love to do over the next couple of years.
And then in terms of, say, your CSI, you have a lot of loves, which one or where are you so passionate? You talk about Old Naledi, and I think I really stand with you on this one to say it's so important. And you said this, no matter who you are, you can achieve your dreams. And that's for me why I always say, because I need you to know whatever you dream, you can achieve it. So I want to know, what are you doing for Old Naledi? What are you doing for football? What are the legacy you'd like to leave behind in those areas?
Part of the reason why I've always associated myself with Old Naledi, and I still play Sunday soccer, by the way, and I'm still playing Old Naledi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this Sunday,
past Sunday, this coming Sunday,
wow.
I'm always at the hood.
Okay.
It's because we want to influence by presence.
Yeah.
And you contribute. Tata, my focus is mainly on education.
Yeah.
So Sebego Attorneys, that does help the schools in Old Naledi and other. We have adopted a few schools.
Okay.
We identify underprivileged children, and then we buy them a uniform, and we buy them, whatever school implements they require.
Yeah.
Last year or year before last, we went to Khaolongwe, Takane East, where we bought pretty much for the whole school. We bought uniform, shoes, and it was such a very heartwarming moment, because I know deep in my heart, one of those kids would one day be better than where we are.
Yeah.
So I still do contribute mainly on education. I do OTSE. It's scholars are we are a regular contributor to that school. And then also we do women's prison. It's one of the project that CSR project that I really love, because you can see the impact.
What do you do with the women's prison?
We give them sanitary, there are babies there, women prison, children that are born there. So nappies, and also sanitary wear for the mothers, and also for. So I think we'll be doing that in the next coming week or 2 weeks. We'll be going for another round of donations there. So these are small little. We've spread our wings around the country. We participate quite actively on Moody Prize giving, especially currently to just give prizes and so on. So it's I believe you inspire by presence. In one of the most touching events I had, there was a meeting that I was having with some professionals, and then there was this young man who was looking at me at a meeting. I think he was a physical planner or something like that, an architect. And what's that? After that, in the meeting. So the boss introduced me to him. And I don't know, this young man has studied with us. He wanted to see you. That's why I came with him to the meeting, the local South City. So then this boy tells me, I once spoke to him at a prize giving ceremony somewhere in the market area, in some primary school, and then junior school, and then I told him that he will achieve his dreams. He must work hard, stay away from alcohol, listen to the parents, and he then did exactly that. So he was just coming to thank me for that, and I still couldn't remember the guy. I couldn't remember him from, but that really made me very emotional because the impact that I made on him just by saying those words without even realizing the impact that those words will have on him literally transformed his dreams and his mind, because I spoke about my background, and that it doesn't define where you will go. So I still believe a lot in those kind of conversations. They really, because I know the future always brings something interesting. You see this person at this point, and then later on they will remember you for what you said, and it's always like the best payment you can ever get.
I love that. I think I want to close on just that note. Thank you so much for your time today. I don't know if you have any last words you want to close with.
No, thank you for hosting me. I just want to say to the parents, please support your children. You don't have to be well off, resourced to support your children. One thing that I always say about my mother is that she couldn't read or write. So she would take our notebooks from school, by Menela, just more paging, and then a day later you come with the same book. Then we'll put a long one we try name in netting. How so qual then sharp. So we knew how you could not cheat her. It was the parental support that actually was very crucial. Bana ga ba gift wa ka go tshwana, ba bangwe they are good in sports, ba bangwe they are good in carpentry, but sadi tota hela we need to really come to the party for our children, for them to realize their dreams. I think that for me is the message that I can give to the listeners.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolutely awesome conversation. I think at this point is just to say a huge thank you to the people who dressed me, Lane Closet. But otherwise, this conversation, I believe it touched just one person. We just need to touch one person, and then we'll have done our job. This is Moving Humanity Forward podcast. We'll see you next week.